The sirens wailed like banshees through the heart of our sleepy Ohio town, slicing the humid June air as I sprinted down Elm Street, rainbow face paint smearing across my cheeks like war stripes. "Freeze, you little freak!" one of the cops bellowed from the cruiser, his voice thick with that fake authority that hid something uglier, and I could feel the weight of every staring eye from the Pride float behind me, the one I'd spent weeks building with dreams of acceptance. In that split second, as gravel bit into my sneakers and my heart hammered like it was trying to escape my chest, I realized this wasn't just a parade. It was the night my world shattered, and the man who'd taught me to fight back was about to drag the truth kicking and screaming into the light. My name's Alex Rivera, and back then, at 17, I was the kid everyone whispered about, the openly gay one in a town where different was just code for target. Willow Creek, Ohio, wasn't exactly a beacon of progress. It was the kind of place where Friday nights meant football under floodlights and Sundays were for church potlucks that tasted like judgment wrapped in casserole. But that summer, Pride had hit like a rogue wave. We'd scraped together a ragtag event. A street fair on the town square, drag queens lip-syncing under string lights, and a parade route that looped past the old courthouse like a middle finger to the ghosts of intolerance. I was all in, posters, petitions, the works, because if I didn't stand up, who would? Dad, Jack Rivera, retired FBI agent, the guy with the buzz cut that never quite grew out and eyes that could spot a lie from across a cornfield, had been my reluctant cheerleader. "Pride's fine, kid," he'd grunt over breakfast, folding his newspaper with those calloused hands that still smelled faintly of gun oil. "But don't go borrowing trouble. Small towns got long memories." He wasn't wrong. Mom had bailed when I was 10, chasing some artist in Chicago, leaving us to our routine of microwave dinners and true crime marathons. Dad's stories from the bureau, busting cartels in Miami, tailing white-collar crooks in D.C., were my bedtime epics, laced with warnings about power and corruption. "People in uniforms ain't always the good guys, Alex," he'd say, his voice gravelly from too many smokes before he quit cold turkey for me. That morning, as the sun baked the asphalt and volunteers inflated balloons shaped like hearts, I met him. Ethan Caldwell, that is, the boy who turned my pulse into a rock concert. He was volunteering at the info booth, all lanky limbs and tousled brown hair that fell into eyes the color of storm clouds over Lake Erie. "Hey, you're the float captain, right, Alex?" His smile was easy, like he'd grown up with rainbows in his backyard, not the faded ones we hid here. Turned out he was from Cleveland, crashing with his aunt for the summer, some college-bound activist type who'd read bell hooks and could quote Harvey Milk without missing a beat. We bonded over stapling signs, our hands brushing accidentally on purpose, and by noon, he was confessing over lukewarm lemonade. I came out at 15. Family disowned me faster than you can say, reparative therapy. But screw him. This is my rebellion. I laughed, but it stuck in my throat. My own coming out had been quieter, messier. Dad found the glittery flag under my bed when I was 14, sat me down with a beer he didn't drink and said, "World's full of assholes, son. Doesn't change who you love." No sermons, no ultimatums. Just that steady gaze that said he had my back. Still, school was a gauntlet. Lockers slammed with slurs scrawled in Sharpie. Gym class dodged like landmines. Pride felt like armor, shiny and invincible. As the parade kicked off that evening, the crowd swelled. Families on lawn chairs. Queer kids from neighboring towns clutching signs that read, "Love wins." Even a few skeptical locals nursing sodas on porches. Our float chugged along. A jury-rigged hay wagon draped in crepe paper and LED lights, blasting Lady Gaga while Ethan and I waved from the top like kings of our own queendom. The air hummed with possibility. Laughter echoing off brick storefronts. The scent of funnel cakes mingling with fresh-cut grass. For once, Willow Creek felt alive, electric. Then the cruiser peeled around the corner, lights flashing like accusations. Deputy Harlan Tate, big guy, mustache like a 70s porn star, rumored to have family values bumper stickers on his truck, leaped out, baton in hand. "Rivera, step off that abomination and put your hands where I can see 'em." His partner, a wiry kid named Rollins, blocked the road. Smirking like this was prime-time entertainment. The music stuttered to a halt. Gasps rippled through the throng. I froze, Ethan's hand tightening on mine, his whisper fierce. Don't move. We've got rights. But Tate wasn't playing. He lunged, grabbing my arm with fingers like vice grips, yanking me down amid splintered wood and scattered confetti. Pain shot through my shoulder as I hit the pavement, knee scraping raw. Assaulting an officer, he snarled, knee pinning my back while Rollins cuffed me rough enough to bruise. The crowd surged, protests turning to shouts. But another cruiser screeched up, sirens drowning them out. Disrupting a public event, Tate added, for good measure. Lies all of it. I'd done nothing but exist, loud and proud. Through the haze of adrenaline, I saw Dad pushing through the chaos, his face a thundercloud. Get your damn hands off my son, he roared, voice cutting like a blade honed in interrogation rooms. Tate sneered, stay back, Rivera. This ain't your beat anymore. But Dad didn't flinch. He squared up, exuding that quiet menace that once made informants spill secrets over lukewarm coffee. Uncuff him, now, or I'll have your badges by dawn. The standoff stretched, tense as a tripwire. Ethan hovered at the edge, phone out, live streaming the whole nightmare. This is Willow Creek PD targeting a minor at Pride. His voice cracked over the feed, comments exploding. Justice for Alex, Pride not prejudice. Sirens wailed distant reinforcements, but Dad held ground, murmuring low to Tate. You think I don't know your game, Harlan? That anonymous tip about suspicious activity on the float smells like departmental bullshit. Tate's face twitched. Gotcha. But he didn't back down. Instead, he radioed for backup, claiming resisting arrest. They hauled me into the cruiser, the door slamming like a coffin lid. Ethan's face pressed to the window, mouthing I love you, too soon, too raw. As we peeled away, Willow Creek's lights blurred into streaks, and I pressed my forehead to the cool glass, whispering prayers to gods I wasn't sure believed in me. Little did I know, this was just the spark. The inferno was coming, fueled by betrayal and a father's unyielding fury. They booked me at the station like I was some hardened felon. Mugshot under fluorescence that buzzed like angry hornets. Fingerprints smudged on an ink pad that felt like defeat. The holding cell was a concrete box with a bench that smelled of bleach and despair. The kind of place that chewed up dreams and spat out statistics. Rollins shoved a paper jumpsuit at me. Change, princess. And I complied, fingers trembling, the fabric chafing like shame. Interrogation came quick. Tate loomed in the doorway, coffee breath sour as his grin. We got reports of vandalism, Rivera. That float of yours? Someone saw you tampering with city property. Graffiti on the courthouse steps. Rainbow crap? But still. Bullshit. The steps were pristine when we rolled by. And resisting? You made a scene. Assaulted me. Even. His eyes gleamed. Predatory. I knew that look. Dad had described it 100 times. The predator sizing up prey. I want my phone call, I said, voice steadier than I felt. He laughed. A bark that echoed off cinder blocks. Earn it, boy. Confess. And maybe Daddy gets to visit. The door clanged shut, leaving me with the drip of a leaky faucet and the echo of my own breathing. Minutes stretched to hours. I paced, replaying the grab, the fall, Ethan's eyes wide with fear. Was this what coming out cost? Not whispers, but handcuffs and cells. Finally, the buzzer. Dad burst in like a storm front, suit jacket askew, tie loosened. He'd been at the VFW poker night, but one call from the station and he was here, all 6'2" of retired Fed fury. Alex! He enveloped me in a hug through the bars, his embrace iron and oak, the first solid thing since the pavement. You okay? Did they touch you wrong? Just bruises, Dad. But it's lies, they're framing me. Tears pricked. I blinked them back. He nodded, jaw set. I know. Called my old ASAC in Cleveland. A's wheels are turning. But Harlan, he's got pull here. Sheriff's his uncle. The pieces clicked. Tate's family owned half the town. The mill, the diner, the moral high ground. Pride? To them, it was an invasion. Last year, they'd accidentally rerouted the route past a Baptist revival. This year, Escalation. Dad paced, phone glued to his ear, barking questions at contacts I'd never heard of. Yeah, pull the dash cams. And that tip line traced the IP. By midnight, he'd sketched a timeline on a napkin. Anonymous call at 4:17 p.m. Cruiser dispatched 5:02. Incident at 6:45. Too neat. Ethan slipped in later, smuggled past the desk sergeant by a sympathetic dispatcher. His hug was softer, desperate, arms wrapping me like he could shield me from the world. The video's viral. Thousands of shares. Protests outside already. His lips brushed my temple, a promise unspoken. I won't let them break you, Alex. We're in this. We talked in whispers. His aunt's stories of Stonewall, my dreams of escaping to Oberlin College, studying poli-sci like Dad always teased. Change the world from a desk, huh? Better than chasing shadows. Laughter bubbled up, fragile but real. But as the clock ticked, doubt crept in. What if Tate's web was too tangled? What if justice was just another word for wait your turn? Dawn broke gray through barred windows when the betrayal hit. Rollins, the kid deputy, barely 25, with a fresh academy buzz and eyes that darted like cornered prey, slid a tray under the door. Eat up. Bales posted. But as he turned, I caught it. The flash of guilt, the averted gaze. Later, in the lobby, Dad cornered him. You saw it all, Rollins. Tate grabbed first. Why the reports say different? The kid swallowed, Adam's apple bobbing. I didn't see nothin'. But his voice cracked, and Dad pounced. Gentle, probing. The interrogator's art. Family man, right? Wife, kid on the way. Tate's your mentor. But lies like this? They eat you alive. Rollins crumpled, confessing in a rush. Tate's orders? Planted evidence. A spray can in my backpack. Found post-arrest. The tip from inside. Someone on the Pride Committee, feeding intel for a payout. Betrayal burned hotter than the cuffs. Who? The treasurer, Mr. Ellis, who'd grumbled about budgets, but smiled for photos. Or Lena, the queen who'd vogued flawless but whispered doubts about going too far. Dad's face darkened. We'll find the rat. But first, we burn the fox in the henhouse. Bail hearing was a circus. Reporters crammed the courthouse, phones aloft like torches. The judge, a silver-haired relic with a bow tie, banged his gavel, releasing me on my own recognizance. But the damage lingered. Whispers in the hall, Tate's glare like daggers. Outside, Ethan waited with a sign. Free Alex. Love is the law. We kissed then, quick and fierce, cameras be damned. A declaration amid the chaos. But Willow Creek wasn't done simmering. Protests swelled. Counter-protests frothed with pickets chanting, "Protect our kids," code for "Purge the gays." Dad went full agent mode. Dossiers on Tate, DUI expunged, complaints buried, digging into Ellis's finances, launder donations. Me? I rallied the troops, queer kids, allies, even the drag divas, planning a march that would force eyes open. Ethan and I stole moments in the eye of the storm. Picnics by the creek, where fireflies danced like confetti redux, his head on my shoulder as we traced constellations. You're brave, Alex. Braver than me. I'd scoff, but his touch grounded me. Fingers interlaced, promises breathed into twilight. Romance in crisis was a tightrope. Exhilarating, terrifying. One night, under a blanket fort in my room, Dad's knowing nod from the hall, he murmured, "After this, we road trip to the coast. Waves, not warrants." I believed him because in his arms, justice felt possible. The rat revealed itself midweek. Lena, spilling to Tate for a spotlight gig at the county fair. Fame over solidarity. Her tearful confession over coffee with Dad. I thought it was harmless. He said it'd scare us straight, keep things small. Harmless? My arrest was her footnote. Hurt sliced deep, but Dad's hand on my shoulder steadied. Forgiveness ain't weakness, son. It's strategy. Climax brewed at the rematch Pride. A defiant redux, permits triple-checked. The square pulsed. Bands thumping, booths bustling. A sea of color under relentless sun. Tate patrolled the edges, uniform starched, but his swagger faltered under scrutiny. Cameras everywhere, feds in plainclothes Dad had looped in. It detonated at dusk. As floats rolled, a shadow detached. Tate, baton swinging, charging our group like a bull. "Disorderly!" he yelled. But this time we were ready. Ethan linked arms with me, the chain unbreakable, kids, parents, queens in full regalia. Dad stepped forward, not blocking but revealing. A folder thrust under Tate's nose, pages fluttering, emails, wire transfers, Rollins's affidavit. "Game over, Harlan. A's here. Resign or face the music." Tate swung wild, baton glancing Dad's arm. But the crowd closed in, phones capturing every frame. Sirens, real ones this time, wailed arrival. State troopers, badges gleaming impartial. Tate dropped to his knees, cuffs clicking ironic. The square erupted. Cheers, tears, hugs that mended fractures. In the aftermath, as confetti rained anew, Ethan pulled me aside. "We did it." Our kiss tasted of victory, salt and sweet. Dad watched, pride etching lines softer around his eyes. "Told you, kid. Fight smart, not hard." Willow Creek changed slow. A plaque on the courthouse steps. Sensitivity training mandated. Lena's apology letter framed in the community center. I headed to Oberlin that fall, Ethan shotgun in a beat-up Civic, chasing horizons. Dad visited Sundays, stories now laced with our win. Justice wasn't a fairy tale. It was grit, love, the unyielding spine of a father who taught me. In America, the land of the free, sometimes you gotta make it so. But scars lingered, nights I woke sweating, cuffs phantom tight. Humanistic? Hell yes. We forgave, not forgot, building bridges from broken beams. Pride wasn't one parade. It was every defiant step after. And in Ethan's laugh, Dad's nod, I found my forever fight. Months blurred after that night. A whirlwind of depositions and headlines that painted Willow Creek as either a villain or a victim, depending on the byline. I threw myself into senior year like it was a lifeline. AP history essays on civil rights that quoted MLK and Marsha P. Johnson in the same breath, debate club takedowns of homophobic hypotheticals, and stolen afternoons with Ethan at the old drive-in, where the screen flickered rom-coms and our hands found each other in the dark. "This is us now," he'd say, breath warm against my neck. No more hiding. But hiding? I'd never been good at it. The arrest had stripped that luxury away, leaving me raw, exposed. A teenaged phoenix with singed wings. Dad, true to form, channeled the fury into fuel. His den transformed into a war room. Corkboards pinned with timelines. Red string connecting dots like some conspiracy theorist's wet dream. "Tate's not the head," he'd mutter over takeout lo mein, chopsticks poised midair. "Sheriff's in it up to his neck. Kicked back funds to keep the peace." Meaning squash anything colorful. I nodded, picking at sesame chicken. The irony bitter. Peace bought with cuffs. But Dad's ex-bureau network was a beast. Tips from informants in Columbus. Leaks from the prosecutor's office. By October, indictments dropped. Tate for assault and falsifying reports. Ellis for embezzlement tied to anti-pride slush funds. Even the sheriff facing ethics probes. The town fractured along fault lines we'd always known were there. Church pews filled with murmurs of persecution, while our kitchen table hosted strategy sessions with the nascent Willow Creek Allies group, queer folks and straight supporters plotting inclusivity workshops at the high school. Lena showed up once, makeup free, eyes puffy. I was scared, Alex. Thought small meant safe. I wanted to hate her, but Dad's voice echoed. Strategy. "Scared's human," I said finally. "But next time, fight with us, not against." She nodded, tentative alliance forged over weak tea. Ethan was my anchor, the romance blooming fierce and tender amid the rubble. We'd drive to the quarry outside town, skipping stones across water glassy as forgotten promises. "Remember that first lemonade?" He'd tease, pulling me close. I knew then you were trouble. Laughter came easy with him, a balm for the bruises that faded slower than the news cycle. But intimacy was layered. Not just touches, but shared silences where fears spilled like confessions. What if they come back? I'd whisper one night, stars pricking the sky like accusations. He'd trace my jaw, voice steady. Then we face him, together, like your dad taught you. That, God, he was the rock eroding to fit the tide. Post-incident, he'd started volunteering with the Allies, his gruff charm disarming skeptics at potlucks. Agent Rivera? Here to chaperone drag bingo? One old-timer quipped at the VFW. Dad's grin was wolfish. Nah, just making sure the house wins fair. But privately, doubts gnawed. Over poker one evening, me dealing, him nursing a root beer, he laid cards down flat. You ever think I failed you? Letting this town get its hooks in. I dealt him aces, heart twisting. Failed? Dad, you stormed a station for me. That's superhero shit. He chuckled, but eyes misted. Rare vulnerability from the man who'd stared down mobsters. Your mom. She left 'cause I was always chasing ghosts. Work over family. Swore I'd do better. The confession hung, heavy as Ohio humidity. I squeezed his shoulder. You did. We're the ghosts now, haunting the bastards who deserve it. Winter clamped down, snow muffling the scars. Holiday lights twinkled defiant on Main Street, rainbows woven into wreaths like olive branches. Ethan's aunt hosted a Yule bash, queer carols and spiked eggnog, where we slow danced to Joni Mitchell, his chin on my shoulder, world shrinking to two. College next year, he murmured. You, me, dorms that don't lock at 10. Dreams wove tight, but reality intruded. A letter from the DA's office, Tate's plea deal crumbling under new evidence. A recorded call where he bragged, kid's a pansy, easy mark. Spring thawed the ground and the cases. Trials converged in April, the courthouse a pressure cooker. Protesters clashing on the lawn, media vans idling like vultures. I testified first, voice steady under oath, recounting the grab, the lies, the cell's chill. Tate glowered from the dock, mustache twitching, but his bluster wilted under cross-exam. Rollins flipping full, spilling how Tate coached the frame job over beers at the Elks Lodge. Said it was protecting the community. Rollins choked out, face flushed. Community. The word soured in my mouth. Dad's testimony was masterclass. Dossiers presented like evidence in a federal sting. His voice measured, lethal. Deputy Tate didn't act alone. This was systemic, a culture of bias enabled by leadership. The jury, a cross-section of Willow Creek, farmers, teachers, a lesbian librarian who'd baked me cookies post-arrest, leaned in, nodding. Verdict day, guilty on all counts. Tate's sentencing, 5 years, badge revoked. Drew cheers inside, chaos out. Ethan and I watched from the steps, hands clasped, as justice landed like a long overdue rain. But betrayal's echo lingered. Ellis copped to the leak, his payout a pathetic envelope of cash from Tate's poker winnings. Lena, redeemed in small ways, organized a victim support circle at the library, her first step from bystander to builder. Me? I graduated valedictorian, speech a quiet thunder. Pride isn't a parade. It's the courage to march when sirens scream. To my dad, who taught me justice isn't given. It's claimed. Summer circled back, Pride 2.0 a triumph. Floats grander, crowds thicker. Tate's empty cruiser a ghost story. Ethan and I packed for Oberlin, boxes stuffed with memories. That first sign, Dad's napkin timeline, a pressed firefly from the quarry. Road trip first. Ethan grinned, keys jingling. Dad saw us off at dawn, coffee in hand, hug bone-crushing. Make trouble, boys. Good kind. As taillights faded Willow Creek, I glanced back. Fields rolling gold, town a speck of stubborn heart. Justice? It was messy, human, wounds that scar but don't define. In the rearview, Dad waved, silhouette strong against the rising sun. We'd faced the storm. Now we chased the light. Yet, in quiet miles, doubts whispered. Was it over? Tate's allies lurked, shadows in the system. Ethan's hand in mine silenced them. Romance, resilience, our truest rebellion. America promised liberty. We'd carved our slice, bloody-knuckled and bright. College hit like a freight train. Oberlin's Gothic spires and activist buzz a far cry from Willow Creek's flatlands. Ethan and I bunked adjacent, our worlds colliding in late-night cram sessions and campus protests. Divestment rallies? Queer history panels where we'd hold court on Milk and Baldwin. You're the expert now. I tease, his footnotes a fortress of facts. But expertise couldn't armor the ache. Letters from home carried undercurrents. Dad's updates crisp, but laced with fatigue. Town's healing slow. New sheriff's progressive, but old guard grumbles. Freshman fall, romance deepened roots. We navigated us amid the chaos. First real date at a co-op farm-to-table spot, where candlelight danced on his freckles and we confessed futures. Me in law, him in journalism, tag-teaming in justice like a dynamic duo. Intimacy evolved, not rushed but reveled. Walks through the arboretum, leaves crunching confessions, his laugh chasing my shadows. Love you, he'd say casual as breathing, but eyes earnest, binding us tighter than any vow. Dad visited Thanksgiving, navigating dorms with a duffel of care packages, jerky from the local butcher, photos of the new pride plaque. Over pumpkin pie in the cafeteria, he eyed our linked hands, approval quiet. Proud of you, Alex. Both. But his gaze drifted, waited. Later, in the car, he cracked. Miss the fight sometimes. Bureau life, purpose in the puzzle. I clapped his shoulder. You're still solving M. For me. Winter break pulled us homeward. Willow Creek dusted in hoarfrost, transformed yet timeless. The Allies group had bloomed. Youth Center with a Pride Library, sponsored by Lena's grant-writing wizardry. She greeted us at the airport, hug awkward but genuine. Missed you troublemakers. Dinner at her place. Pot roast and progress reports, laughter thawing old ice. Betrayal forgiven, not forgotten. It fueled her fire now. But undercurrents stirred. Whispers of a recall petition against the new sheriff, pushed by Tate's cousin, a realtor with a megachurch alliance. They're framing it as law and order, Dad briefed over eggs next morning. Code for payback. My gut twisted. Justice's echo, not end. Ethan, ever the scribe, started a blog. Willow Echoes, chronicling the town's pivot. This is our story, he'd say, typing furious. Not theirs to rewrite. Spring semester ramped tensions. Campus absorbed me, mock trials where I channeled Dad, dismantling defenses with scalpel precision. But calls home escalated. Petition gaining signatures. Anonymous flyers decrying moral decay. Dad's voice tightened. They're digging, Alex. Old files, your case, Tate's appeal. Appeal? Tate's lawyer, a slick Columbus type, argued excessive force on the PD's part, twisting victim to villain. We rallied remotely. Ethan live-tweeting threads that trended Willow Rising, me zooming with allies for strategy. Dad went underground, old habits, tailing petition drives, charming informants at the diner. Got a lead, he texted one night. Church deacons bankrolling it. Ties to Ellis's old crew. Adrenaline surged. The fight reignited. Pixels to pavement. Summer return was powder keg. Pride planning amped. Festival with national speakers, but threats loomed. Slashed tires on volunteer cars. Emails laced with slurs. Ethan and I patrolled booth setups, hands brushing vigilant. This feels like year one, he admitted, spray painting banners under sodium lights. I pulled him close. But we're stronger. They've got grudges. We've got each other. Dad's breakthrough came mid-June. A sting at the VFW, mic'd up, coaxing the deacon into spilling. Funds funneled through shell packs. Explicit anti-queer agenda. For the children. The man slurred, beer-fueled. Recording gold. Handed to the AG's office like a grenade. But fallout fractured. Deacon outed as Tate's pen pal from prison. Letters ranting, devils in the details. Climax crested Pride weekend. The square thrummed. Music pulsing. Families picnicking on quilts. A drag brunch drawing lines around the block. Ethan emceed the stage, voice booming. Willow Creek we rise. Not in spite, but in spite of. I watched from the wings, heart swelling. Dad nearby in khakis and a subtle rainbow pin. His concession to flair. Then the surge. A pickup roared the perimeter, megaphone blaring repent or retreat. Counter-protesters, 50 strong, bullhorn-wielding faithful herded by the cousin. Tension spiked. Shoves at the edge, a bottle lobbed that shattered near kids. Dad's eyes narrowed. Containment. He waded in. Not aggressive but authoritative. De-escalating with handshakes and let's talk, calm. Ethan and I flanked the stage. Megaphone in hand. Peace. This is pride, love for all. But the cousin escalated. Lunging for the mic. Fist connecting with Ethan's jaw in a crack that silenced the square. Blood bloomed. Ethan staggered. Me catching him as chaos erupted. Screams, scuffles, sirens distant. Dad pivoted. Tackling the man clean. Ex-agent precision pinning him till troopers arrived. Assault? Dad panted. Cuffing him loose with his belt. On a civilian. At a permitted event. The square held breath. Then release. Cheers as medics swarmed Ethan, bruised but unbroken. Arrests made swift. Cousin hauled away. Petition dead in the water. That night, bonfire vigil. Stories shared. Fires crackling catharsis. Ethan, ice pack haloed, squeezed my hand. Worth it. Dad joined us, arms slung brotherly. Team effort. Betrayal's ghost? The deacon's wife confessed next week. Her husband's rage a mask for his own closeted shame. Letters a cry masked as crusade. Human, heartbreaking. We visited him in lockup. Not for vengeance but understanding. Hate's heavy, I said through plexi. Lay it down. He wept. Seed sown. Fall beckoned anew, Oberlin calling. Packing, Ethan quipped. Round 2. Conquering the cannon. Dad gifted us a compass, literal. Engraved true north. Find yours, he said, hug lingering. Miles unspooled. Willow in the mirror shrinking benevolent. Justice iterated. Not once, but woven into weft. Romancy, Ethan's playlist, our harmony. Humanistic arc. Flawed folks fumbling toward light. America, vast and vexed, bent but never broke us. Sophomore year sharpened edges. Oberlin's rigor a forge, hammering ideals into tools. Law classes dissected precedents. Obergefell triumphs. Bowers versus Hardwick relics. I'd argue fierce in seminars. Channeling Willow's wounds into wit. Prejudice isn't abstract. I'd counter a skeptic professor. It's a baton to the back at pride. Ethan thrived in newsroom chaos. Interning at the Cleveland Plain Dealer. His byline's a bulwark. Small-town justice. From cuffs to change. But Holmes' tether tugged. Dad's emails evolved. Less briefs. More banter. Planted tomatoes. They're queer as hell. All twisted and proud. Laughter lines crept as photos. But shadows too. Arthritis in his hands. Ghosts of old chases. Retirement's a bitch, he'd joke on calls. Miss the adrenaline. I'd counter. Adrenaline's overrated. Try bingo. Ally's version has drag calls. Romance with Ethan matured. A steady burn. We weekend in Ann Arbor, thrift shopping flannels and futures, or hiked the Cuyahoga Valley, trails tracing our talks. His dream newsroom, my ACLU path, kids someday. Adopted, obviously, with your stubborn streak. Laughter echoed. Love, the quiet constant. Yet, intimacy held depths. Nights he'd wake thrashing from nightmares of the megaphone man. Me holding till dawn. Here. Safe. Willow simmered. Not stormed. New sheriff, Elena Vasquez. Latina. Lesbian. No nonsense. Cleaned house. Bias training mandatory. Youth liaisons in schools. Lena's center thrived. Hosting coming-out cafes. Where kids like me once were spilled sans shame. But ripples from Tate. Appeal hearings dragged. His lawyer spinning rogue element narratives that fueled fringe blogs. Spring break, we drove home. Top down, playlist defiant. Town greeted warmer. Mural on the water tower. Rainbows arcing blue. Dad barbecued ribs. Smoke signaled welcome. Ethan charming him with ballgame recaps. Boys got stats. Dad grinned, forking coleslaw. But post-dusk, den session. Vasquez briefed. Files open. Tate's pushing for retrial. New evidence. Witness recanting. Recanting. Rollins post-flip. Now claimed coerced. Pressure. Dad's jaw clenched. Classic. Threaten the family man. We dove in, Ethan digging digital footprints, me parsing legalese. Lead surfaced. Tate's prison pal, a hacker, forging docs. Gotcha, Dad murmured, dialing feds. Climax brewed summer's edge. Tate's hearing loomed. Circus redux. National press. Advocates bust in. We testified tandem. Me on the night, Ethan on the aftermath, voices overlapping resolve. This isn't isolated. I pressed the judge, a stern woman with wire rims. It's a pattern, enabled. Dad's affidavit sealed. Forensic takedown of the forgeries. His signature a stamp of unassailable cred. Verdict held. Appeal denied. Tate remanded. Outside, jubilant scrum hugs, horns honking. But betrayal bisected. Rollins's recant a ploy, his real affidavit smuggled via wife. They came to my house. Threats. Human frailty. Again. Fear's long shadow. Vasquez promoted him, commendation for courage. Pride that year. Apotheosis. Square a symphony. Orchestras queer composed. Floats solar-powered. Vasquez grand marching in uniform. Ethan and I emceed. Banter light. From sirens to symphonies. Willow's remix. Dad. On stage reluctant. Cracked a joke. Ex-agents don't dance. But for you? Waltz away. Crowd roared. His two-step with Lena went viral. Post-fest. Bonfire redux. Stars wheeling, stories spiraling. A kid? 14 and trembling. Sidled up. Your story. It gave me guts. Ethan's arm around me. Dad's nod across flames. Legacy. Live. Romance flickered private. Later, under quilt of night, Ethan's whisper. This life's ours. Earned. Fall returned us east. Class is a bomb. Dad's visits rarer, but richer. Thanksgiving tales of center expansions. His tomato harvest, a metaphor. Sun. Twisted, but fruitful. Arthritis slowed him, but spirit soared. Mentoring at-risk youth. His interrogator's ear now listener's grace. Yet, undercurrents. Tate's suicide note, leaked bitter. Framed by faggots and their fed daddy. Venom post-mortem, but it stung. We mourned not him, but the man he could have been, unbent by bigotry. Humanistic elegy. Even villains, vessels of squandered light. Junior year internships called. Me at a legal aid clinic, Ethan embedded with NPR. Worlds widened. But Willow anchored. Holidays home. Planning weddings whimsical. Beach. Bare feet. Dad's health dipped. Doc visits. Pills proliferating. Just maintenance. He'd wave off. But worry wormed. Climax revisited fall. A bomb threat at the center, hoax but harrowing. Evacuations. Tears. Vasquez's team swept. Tracing to Tate's diehard cousin. Arrested. Contrite. Hates inheritance, he sobbed. We visited. Like the deacon. Break the chain. He did, testifying against kin, closing the circle. Pride round 3, resilient right. Dad, Cain assisted, led the march symbol incarnate. Ethan and I followed. Rings glinting. Promise. Not yet vow. Justice, Dad panted uphill, is a marathon. Keep running. Graduation loomed. Futures forked. My bar exam, Ethan's first book pitch. Willow faded benevolent backdrop, but etched eternal. Betrayals? Teachers, turning points. Romancy? Ethan's hand, steady. America. Imperfect palette, our colors bold. In quiet, I trace scars. Faint on knee, deep in soul. Human arc. Stumble, stand, stride. We'd faced justice's forge. Emerged, unbowed. Senior year crested like a wave held too long. Capstone projects and capstones literal. Mortarboards prepped for tosses into unknowns. Oberlin's cocoon cracked open. Job offers trickled me. Clerkship at a Cincinnati firm. Ethan. Junior reporter at The Guardian. London-bound? Transatlantic us. He'd quip, but eyes sought my nod. Love, at 21, was seasoned. Arguments over dishes dissolved in dawn apologies. Dreams deferred but shared. Wherever, we'd affirm, tangled in sheets that smelled of home. Dad's decline accelerated subtle. Calls shorter, voice thinner. Coughs nothing, flu season. But Christmas visit revealed truth. Weight lost, scans scheduled. Cancer, pancreas, stage 3, the doc said, matter of fact as weather. World tilted. Willow's skyline blurred through tears. Fought worse? Dad rasped, hand gripping mine, calluses softened. Cartels, remember? This is just another bust. We rallied, Ethan coordinating care packages from allies, Lena's quilts, Vasquez's care baskets, me lawyering logistics, top oncologists, trials experimental. Home became hub. Center's lounge retrofitted guest room. Windows framing the square where it started. Full circle, Dad joked, for dripping defiant. Stories flowed. Bureau glory days. My toddler tantrums. Ethan's, that boy's a keeper. Laughter, medicine's counterpoint. Romance weathered the gale. Ethan and I carved sanctuaries. Porch swings at dusk. His readings from dog-eared Ginsberg. My head pillowed on his thigh. Scared? He'd ask, fingers carding hair. Terrified? I'd admit. But you make it bearable. Intimacy. Intimate as eulogies unspoken. Touches that said, stay. Kisses sealing always. Town enveloped us. Vigils at the plaque. Potlucks prayerless but potent. Lena confessed over pie. Your dad's the real hero. Showed me grace I didn't earn. Rollins dropped by, uniform crisp. Oh him, for seeing me straight. Human mosaic. Shards mended, light refracted kinder. Climax, cruelest. Dad's rally, then relapse. Summer, pride's shadow, he insisted on attending wheelchair a chariot. Square shimmered. Generations gathered. Floats ferrying futures. Vasquez pinned him a honorary badge. Agent Rivera, guardian of the grove. Crowd thundered. He waved, eyes on me. Pride paternal, profound. Post-parade, private. Us three on the green, confetti carpet. Regrets, Dad wheezed. Ethan, none with you too. Me, you built this. Us. His smile, sunset soft. Justice? It's love in action. Don't stop. Decline hastened autumn. We graduated amid it. Degrees clutched, flights home immediate. Hospice hushed the house, monitors beeping ballads. Final days, lucent. Alex, Ethan, marry that boy. Make it legal, America owes you. We did courthouse quick, ring simple, his thumbprint witness on paper. He slipped October Eve, stars sharp, squares lights winking farewell. Eulogy mine, center packed. Dad didn't just fight crime. He fought fear. In a town that targeted, he taught target back with heart. Tears communal, cathartic. Aftermath. Grief's geometry, angles acute, Ethan my compass. Willow mourned magnanimous. Scholarship in his name, fed kids to law. Betrayal's book closed. Tate's file sealed. Appeals ashes. Years unspooled. My practice pro bono heavy, Ethan's columns global. We wed proper beach, bare feet, Dad's compass on the cake. Kids came, 2 boys, adopted, rambunctious echoes. Stubborn streak, Ethan'd laugh, chasing them. Pride annuals. We'd return, tots in tow, marching his memory. Justice, enduring edifice, built brick by betrayal, mortared in mercy. Romance, Ethan's vow renewed yearly, through sirens and sunrises. Humanistic coda. In America's vast vex, we chose connection. Flawed, fierce, forever. Willow Creek, once crucible, now cradle. Dad's ghost grinned. Good bust, kid. And so we strode, untargeted, unbound.